Cassandra? Good news, I hope.
Safe and sound.
Well done. And now, the shroud is yours.
You don't want it? After all that?
I gained something more valuable today. For your troubles, Misthios.
If I knew any better, I'd think you were testing me.
Perhaps.
What is this?
You did well, Misthios. Tell me, how do you feel about killing a general in Megaris? Do this for me and earn double what you earned today. Are you up to the task? It would take you far away from Kefalonia. So far away you might never return.
I'm not an assassin.
There's a first time for everything. What do you say?
Fine.
Who is this general?
They call him the Wolf.
He'd do something to offend you?
Yes, he's costing me drachmi. He's not good for business.
Anything I should know about Megaris?
Only that it's the most valuable land in the Greek world. From a military perspective, of course. Unfortunately for Megarians, it has two very powerful neighbors who just can't seem to play nice. In the tug of war between Corinth and Athens, Megaris is their own.
Why me?
Because no one knows who you are. You're invisible.
Yeah.
I accept.
Splendid. You'll need a boat. You have one, don't you?
If I had a boat, we wouldn't be having this
I
conversation.
mean, I don't
A
have a boat, do I?
It's too far of a swim, I'm afraid. Even for you.
Give
find
me
one.
one then.
Good. I hope it's sturdy.
And why is that?
The seas are much more dangerous, I'm afraid. War is coming, and the wolf is on the wrong side.
War? With who?
The entire Greek world is at each other's throats. What rock have you been hiding under exactly?
Kefalonia. And how do I know you're on the right side?
Because I'm the one paying you.
You won't be disappointed.
When your job in Megaris is done, come find me at Pilgrim's Landing in Phokis.
I can wear that. I will wear that actually. Oh, I'm supposed to hold it down. Let's equip some stuff. Let's see where we're at. Oh, I'm level 5 now. Alright, no more boring stuff. I don't think it... Yeah, okay, it doesn't actually do anything. This is what I'm saying, this is some nice armor. There are some nice armor sets in this game. A lot of swag. Tripping. Cool. So, we're with Circe, and Odysseus stays with her for about a year, just
I need a
getting
boat.
better,
I suppose
stronger,
the ship will do.
rebuilding his ship. But there comes a time where he needs to go home. He's got Penelope to get home to. Faithless, unwielding, cunning Penelope. So he needs to get home. He wants to get home. But Circe tells him before he can go, he needs to go to the underworld and speak to the blind prophet Tiresias. So off he goes, and he finds a way. No other hero apart from Orpheus and Hercules have been to the underworld and come back. So how is Odysseus going to get there? Well, Circe basically tells him everything that he needs to know. He is to travel to the edge, sail to the edge of the world, to Oceanus, And when he finds the right place, he has to dig a pit, sacrifice some rams, and allow the blood of that sacrifice to flow into the pit, therefore attracting the spirits who were unable to speak until they had drunk the blood. So he needs to be careful to make sure that he only lets people he wants to speak to drink. When he's in the underworld, he meets his mum, which is always a sad, it's quite a sad way to find out, quite a unique way to find out that your mother's passed away. And he listens to what she says. She's passed away from grief of waiting for him to return from the Trojan War.
It's a fine ship, Telimenes.
Cassandra! She is that. Ready to ride the waves for the right captain and the right price.
What'll it take for you to part with her?
Couldn't let her go for
What?
less than 100,000.
100,000? Who has that much?
Someone who's serious about buying a ship. You think craftsmanship like this is given away?
What if I told you I had obsidian to trade?
I tell you I still need 100,000 drachmi. Besides, even if I took your obsidian, a ship this size needs an army to sail it.
Come on,
This
man.
is Kefalonia. I could always find someone down on their luck and willing to work for next to nothing to get off this island.
The seas are treacherous now. Well, more than usual. It would be suicide.
You're not being very helpful, Telimenes.
Not sure if this helps, but rumor has it the Cyclops is coming for you and Marcos.
Rumors mean nothing.
I'm a big gal, you
Don't believe
know.
everything you hear.
Rumor also has it his ship is docked in Kleptus Bay.
His ship,
Oh
you say?
yeah.
I'll have to pay Kleptus Bay a visit.
Be careful. That one-eyed brute has a nasty temper.
Get it.
So I can take his ship and deal with the Cyclops at the same time. Two birds, one stone.
Nice. Right, so he's in the underworld, he's spoken to his mum, Anticlea, and he sees Tiresias appear. Now Tiresias, the blind prophet, tells him what's gonna happen. Basically how he is gonna get home, but he's gonna go through a tough time doing it. He also tells him that when he gets home, his journey will not end. Odysseus will forever have an itch to travel, and his journey will only end when he finds a land who do not recognize ships, does not recognize what an oar is. And when he gets to this land, he'll be done. But for now, Odysseus needs to get home to Ithaca, and to do so, he needs to pass through two more monsters, Scylla and Charybdis. But before he gets there, he travels past things called sirens. Sirens are dangerous things. They're the sirens of myth. Circe has warned him about these. They're the ones who will sing sailors sweet nothings and lure them in with their beautiful sounds and music, and then kill them.
The Cyclops. Time to have a little chat.
Knew it was around here. But let's do this first. Okay, so to get
Come on.
through the past the sirens, Odysseus advises his men to stick wax in their ears while he ties himself to the mast of his ship. Obviously Odysseus can still guide them, but he also hears the tempting, captivating and beautiful song of the sirens. And he has an overwhelming urge to jump in and see them. Thankfully he's been tied up and he can't. But the desire to see these sirens is as strong as the desire to stay when they were in the land of the Lotus Eaters, and the desire to see Penelope. But of course he manages to get through relatively unscathed. And he knows, of course, he's going to have to pass through a narrow strait. On one side is Scylla, a violent, ugly monster. On the other side is Charybdis, a relentless whirlpool. And Odysseus is going to have to pick a side to pass through. Tiresias has basically told him, yeah, your best bet is to go through Scylla. You're going to lose some men, but it's easier to pass through Scylla rather than Charybdis and lose some men rather than all your men. So that's exactly what he does, and Odysseus loses 6 men as he passes past Scylla. But Odysseus hasn't told his men that this is what Tiresias has told me. You know, he's kept that to himself. Maybe he doesn't want to worry them. Maybe just more selfish than we like to believe. But they pass through these narrow straits and they continue on their journey to a land of beautiful white cattle. Odysseus has been warned by Tiresias and Circe not to harm the cattle on this land. But his men have not. And his men are hungry. And they see these beautiful sheep, cattle, cows on this land. And they eat them, slaughter them and feast them. These cattle belong to Helios, the sun god, and he is upset. Helios complains to Zeus, and he says that unless Zeus does something, Helios will take the sun down to Hades and mankind will never see the day of light, the light of day again.
But now it's just a nest of anarchy and crime.
So Odysseus sinks. No, sorry. Zeus sinks Odysseus' ship with a thunderbolt just as he's leaving, and he destroys every man on board apart from Odysseus himself. So Odysseus left Troy with about 12 ships. And it's a bit hard to calculate how many on a ship, but there's a lot of men. And within maybe like 2 to 3 years, he's lost all his ships, he's lost all his men. And somehow we're supposed to believe that this guy is an amazing, cunning leader. Well, he's a cunning leader for sure. But is he a good leader? I'm not convinced. Odysseus is floundering around the sea, the open waters, when he somehow manages to land on an unknown, quiet island. It just so happens that the island he finds himself on is Ogygia, the island of Calypso. And he spent 7 years here. 7 long, arduous years. With, I mean, a beautiful nymph, Calypso. But not home. Calypso has such a terrible fate. It's really harsh. But essentially, she is banished to this island for eternity. Oh, what? Oh, I didn't get to kill everyone.
The gods as my witness.
Oh, yeah.
What difference does it make? All of them, I swear, all of them!
I have never so much fucking god talk from one man in all my days.
Let him go.
Here's the
No one on this
Cyclops.
is allowed to say that word.
Did he say Cyclops? Did he hurt your feelings?
Don't like it when people call me that.
Oh, I did it.
You're so fat. I mean, big and strong. And you really do only have one eye.
My eye. Give it to me. Give it to me and I won't kill Marcos for having you steal it. Give it to me!
Cassandra is so
want it?
pretty.
Go get it.
Just making this more fun. I'll leave your body to the crows! Most would have given up by now.
What a loser. Well, that was fun. So, Calypso is, you know what, let's talk to Barnabas first before I get started on Calypso.
We shouldn't delay here any further. Even rats like these have friends on Kefalonia.
By Zeus, these Kefalonian bandits have no choice.
Yeah, so Calypso, doomed to fall in love with every man who ever lands on her island, but never able to leave. Very tragic. But yeah, she offers Odysseus immortality, which he turns down. And it's understandable. Achilles was offered something very similar, and he did not enjoy it.
Can't thank you enough. After spending most of my life at sea, it would have been absolutely shameful to drown in a pot. Ah, where are my manners? I am Varnavas, captain of the Adrestia.
Well, Varnavas, I'm pleased to meet you. I'm Cassandra, Misthios by trade.
Oh, but you're much more than that, I'm sure.
What do you mean?
When they forced my head underwater, I prayed to the gods. And when they pulled it out, there you were.
All of Kefalonia heard your prayers. I just happened to be closest.
And you just happened to fight like Achilles, while Zeus's eagle flies around your head.
So, you have a ship?
Of course. Gods forbid I'd end up stuck in this place.
What is it now?
Thanks to you, it's still in Sami Harbor, where I left it.
Perhaps the fates brought us together after all. I'm in need of a ship, and a crew.
You saved my life. It would disgust the gods to not offer it in return.
So, that's a yes?
My ship, my crew, and my services are yours.
You truly aren't from around here.
Ha ha! Gods know! And I thank them for that! Come now and see the Adrestia!
Easier than 100,000 drachmi, I suppose. So Odysseus spends 7 years with Calypso, but he finally decides it's time to go. Builds himself a little raft and sets sail. Unfortunately, he finds himself trapped in another storm where he's washed up on the final island he'll visit before he gets home. The land of the Phoenicians, which is where he finds himself after this storm. And he's on the beach, naked, and the princess sees him, Princess Nafisika. Nafsika, sorry. And there's a bit of an awkward interaction, but he's invited into the palace where he weaves his journey to the king and queen. They believe him because of course he makes himself look better than he is or he was. Because yeah, he needs the help, so he's obviously gonna kind of twist the story. And that's another story for another time, definitely. The whole episode on Phoenicia. But suffice to say for now, they give him a ship, the fastest ship that they have. The best of their provisions, and they send him on his way home. And so, after 10 long years, Odysseus returns to Ithaca. Which way is Ithaca? Okay, oh, way over there. Croppy, rocky, goat field, Ithaca. And it would be nice to think that that's the end of his journey, but no. Because whilst he's been away, suitors have taken up residence in his house. All with the express aim of getting his wealth, marrying his wife, and owning his land. So Odysseus continues to hide his identity until he can get a lay of the land. And he basically hires or convinces first his son Telemachus that he is who he is, and then his slave Eumaeus. And he lives as a disguised beggar, learning about what's been happening in his absence. Long story short, there is a massive fight where Odysseus, Telemachus and Eumaeus slay about 108 suitors. And of course, the suitors' parents aren't happy, and they arrive, and there's about to be yet another fight. But Athena comes down and basically says, "This is enough. Stop all your fighting." And that is essentially the Odyssey condensed in, I don't know, about an hour. And that's enough for now. There will be more stories with Odysseus for sure. But just not at the moment. There's so much to be said for Odysseus. And we can go into so much more detail about how he behaved on Polyphemus's island, how he behaved with Cyclops, and on the flip side, we could speak a lot about Penelope and why she is so much more than just a faithful wife. But that is another story for another episode. For now, this is me saying thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please drop a like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Let me know if there's any stories or myths that you want me to explain or look into. And please do join me again next time. See you later.